Welcome to the Art of Listening to Your Body podcast. My name is Jin Ong and I'm your host. I practice as an osteopath and psychosomatic therapist and am fascinated by the mind-body connection and how your physical body is a manifestation of your emotional state. I help people get unstuck from their chronic pain and live the life they want, grounded in values and driven by purpose. My aim is to create awareness to the underlying emotions behind pain, injury, and disease in the body. Join me to learn more about the story of your body, what different issues may indicate, how to release emotions so that you can prevent problems, as well as inspiring pain story interviews. Now that we're getting to the end of the year, and I'm always encouraging you to share your own story in the hope that it might inspire or teach somebody who's going through a similar situation or experience, I thought I would share my own personal journey and reflections on the year that was 2020, because it was a pretty massive year of change for me. Now, many of you only know me through the Art of Listening to Your Body, this podcast, what I share on social media. Maybe you've come to my live masterclass, and some of you have joined me for my emotional body training. But before all of this, there is a whole nother backstory that I will share with you. And the Art of Listening to Your Body is actually relatively young. It's my COVID baby. It's only about 6 months old. And it amazes me how far it's come in such a short period of time. And I want you to know, even though it's something that I'm deeply passionate about and something that I feel aligns with my sole purpose, teaching people about how your physical body is a manifestation of your emotional state, reading and understanding the body and increasing awareness, and giving you techniques on how to process your emotions versus coping with them. I want you to know that despite all of that, this project was born out of complete fear, which has given me a completely different perspective on fear and the role that it can play in your life. So I'm going to take you through my reflections and ramblings in my head. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of ideas in there. I'm going to take you through this off the cuff, what I've learned, what's happened, and I hope that you can learn something from it as well. So before the Art of Listening to Your Body, I am or was an osteopath that was treating clients hands-on in a clinic. I own 2 clinics in the South Island of New Zealand in a place called Wanaka and another one in Queenstown. The clinic's called MetaMed. And we have an amazing team of osteopaths, chiropractor, admin and support staff. And as I say this is another project that grew really fast in a period of 6 months. So that's definitely something for me to have a think about. So if I go back in 2016 when I started this, it was always in my vision to run a clinic, have a team, and be in 2 locations. But within 6 months, MetaMed went from 1 person to a team of 10 and 2 locations. I'm a real opportunist, and as I said, it was in my vision, but not for 5 years' time. I haven't even gotten to 5 years yet. So I took the opportunity and I ran with it. And with such rapid growth in a period of 6 months, there comes a lot of investment in energy, time, and money. And it's been an incredible learning experience. I've really enjoyed all of the challenges and opportunities of building a clinic and a team has given me. I've loved working with all the different personalities that we have on our team. So at the start of 2020, with all of this in mind, it was the year for things to really happen for MetaMed. It was a time for me where I thought, okay, I can just step back a little bit. Everyone knows what they're doing. I was going to spend more time on my own. So I had holidays booked in for the rest of the year. I had my flights booked. It was also the time that I was going to spend a little bit more on retreats and self and personal development. So yeah, I had all of my flights, my holidays booked. I was going to hang out with friends. I was going to go back to Australia. I was going to go to Melbourne and Sydney, and then I was going to go to San Diego. And that was for a big personal development conference. And I was hoping to sit the Path of Love retreat that had come to New Zealand that a lot of my friends have told me about and gotten so much out of. Anyway, so that's still on the cards. But all of this got cancelled. Now, I am not one to dwell in negativity. I acknowledge I might be a little bit annoyed for a period of time, but I always know that with anything that happens, there's opportunity and there's things to learn from. So it was in March, late March, that New Zealand went into a very strict lockdown fairly rapidly, which I'm really grateful for because now we have popped out of the other end relatively good. There's definitely been some challenges, especially as a business owner with staff around this and the nature of where our staff come from are typically from overseas. But without going into too much detail, there was a lot of exciting challenges during this time. The government was changing things on the daily. And knowing what I know about different personalities and body types, it was just really interesting to see and observe everybody around me, not just within the team, how everybody managed and coped or didn't cope with all of the changes that were going on. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of sense of insecurity, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And it ran through my mind, oh my gosh, what if MetaMed has to close down? And I don't know what is going to happen. And I really didn't want it to because I had spent so much time the past 3.5 years investing my time and my energy and my money into this. And even the years prior, planning and envisioning this. And I decided, no, this is something that I know that I really want to do. It's, again, something that's aligned with my soul purpose. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to give up on it. And I really value the team that I get to work with as well. So I wanted to keep them on board. So thankfully, the New Zealand government came through and gave us a little bit of help. And I also got to see a lot of my clients online, and I got to see the power of communicating with people in this way. And all of a sudden, I realized that, oh my gosh, I can access and I can actually help people online and people who aren't just in my general local area. I can start to help people internationally. So, of course, my head went off a million miles an hour into all of the possibilities. But I've always learned that I need to take action. I always want to find things out rather than die not knowing. So I saw this opportunity in working online, and something that had always been brewing in the back of my mind with the way I practiced and treated my clients was with this awareness of how the physical body is a manifestation of your emotional state. So how, pain, injury, illnesses and disease states usually have an emotional link. So I'm all about reading the body, understanding, and if someone's not aware enough, then I will help them understand on an emotional level what their body might be trying to tell them. But most importantly, is doing something with that. So helping them process the emotions. So this is often going back into the past events and the traumas and helping people express the emotion that never had an opportunity to be expressed at the time. So it's a very deeply cathartic process for a lot of people where they feel massive shifts on a physical, physiological, and on an emotional level. So I knew that this work was so powerful, and for a long time I'd been working with the same clients who had gone through quite big shifts and were very emotionally aware, but I wanted to go a lot deeper, and I did with some of them. So I was stuck a little because I was constantly getting asked to see new people, but I just didn't have the capacity or the time to serve anyone more. And I'd been asked over a number of years by different practitioners, how do you do what you do? How do you understand the body this way? How do you deal with people's emotions when you open that can of worms? So I thought the best way to get more of this information out there is to start to teach other practitioners in the modality that I've developed over the years, harnessing different philosophies and the knowledge that I've gathered over seeing so many clients over many years. So I guess this was one of those things where I thought, when things settle down, I'll have time to do this. And all of a sudden, COVID hit and I had time in a different way. I was busy with all the changes and working out what to do with MetaMed, but I had time where I was at home. And as I said, the clinic is definitely in line with my vision, my mission, and my sole purpose. But over the years, I really had this hankering to want to teach this emotional anatomy work, psychosomatic therapy, whatever you call it. It's really just about the mind-body connection, but teaching it in a way that was simple for people to understand. And it was now or never, because I didn't want the clinic to close down. I thought, well, how is it that I can create income in another way? And if needed, to support the clinic, which thankfully I haven't had to do just yet. So then I just launched into the online space, and you'll hear me say a lot of the time, just stop caring so much what other people think. And I have been able to shed a lot of that concern of what other people think over the years, especially when I've seen the power of this work. I really believe in it, and I can see the transformations that happen in people. So I definitely stand by it. But this was the time where I just really had to get over anyone's judgments or criticisms and just put myself out there fully, which was on social media. So with the clinic, I kind of had stood back. It was all about my team. And then all of a sudden, I was like, right, I've got to put myself out there and let's see what happens. So I started seeing clients one-to-one online. A lot of them were international, from Australia, Europe, the States. And it was incredible, because I also felt that during this time of COVID, a lot of people were reassessing their life, including myself. And I got to see, because I was thinking, how can I teach this stuff to people? But as I got to work with people online, I did see that there was a little bit of a structure, there was a little bit of a process that I would take people through this journey over a 12-week period. Of course, the structure and the process has to be adaptable, because you're dealing with a person who has their individual needs. But I didn't realize there was so much of a structure until I really threw myself into it. So a theme and a reflection that comes up for me in my head right now is, I always say to people, just get started. I would rather know if I can make something work or not than keep on wondering about it. I am very much a person who takes action. And another fear that I've often had, even when I started up MetaMed and multiple other little side businesses that I've started, and some of them I've closed down in the past, is, what if this thing is going to fail? And when I reflect back, I don't ever see things as a failure. I always see them as an opportunity and something to learn from. So with the art of listening to your body, I also did wonder, what if this is going to be the thing that fails? And now if I look back, if I let that overcome me, that sense of fear of failure, then I wouldn't be where I am 6 months down the track, doing this, sharing pain stories with you and helping people around the world. So it's been pretty amazing. And where else am I with this? So as I said, I'm just rambling out of my head, off the cuff. Oh, so we came out of a lockdown after 7 or 8 weeks. And I think most health clinics in the area were busier than ever. We were busier than we were at the same time the year prior. Thank God I just didn't close the doors and decide to pack up and focus solely on the art of listening to your body. Um, but what was challenging was that I had this clinic that was going crazy dizzy amongst still managing COVID changes. And then this project, The Art of Listening to Your Body, doing my one-to-one coaching, running courses, trying to publish podcast episodes and share more information on social media, and doing that all myself. I was like, oh my gosh, now I've got like 2 massive projects going. What's going to happen? Something's got to give, because I know that attention has to be focused in one area, get that plate spinning, and then you can move your attention somewhere else. So one thing that I had learned from MetaMed was to bring support on before I really needed it, before I was desperate. So I started growing my team of The Art of Listening to Your Body. And I took a virtual assistant on. During COVID was a great time to find a virtual assistant because a lot of people had been made redundant and they themselves were finding different ways to do things. I knew that to be able to grow anything, I had to build a team. And I've heard things like this over and over again. Spend more time developing yourself, grow your team. And it can be really hard because, again, you start earning this money and then you've got to reinvest it. But I have seen the opportunities in handing over stuff and spending more time doing what it is I really enjoy doing. So MetaMed was still ticking along. One of the challenges with this is that many of our practitioners come from overseas for some reason. And it got a little bit prohibitive for some people to move over, pay the quarantine costs, and just whether or not they would be allowed in the country. So with MetaMed, I would normally have practitioners just falling on my lap, wanting to live in Wanaka and Queenstown, which is, I reckon, one of the most beautiful places in the world. I feel like I'm on a permanent holiday living in Wanaka. But all of a sudden there was just this standstill. We had 3 staff go on maternity leave. A few others have some stuff go on. So we were massively busy, but we didn't have the practitioners to be able to cater for the amount of people that we were seeing. So that was another challenge, and just doing interview after interview and nothing really sticking. But I knew that I needed to bring more practitioners on. So I really focused on continuing that interview process. It took me 6 months, and now we finally have another 2 amazing practitioners joining our team in a few weeks, which will just be incredible. And I've lost my track a little bit because I just am rambling from my mind. Okay, so yes, the clinic seems to be going okay at the moment. And one thing that has been really hard for me is I know that The Art of Listening to Your Body and spreading the information about the mind-body connection in a simple way and helping people create greater awareness about their emotions and their physical body is such important work for me. But it does mean that I need to let go of certain things. So over the past year, I had ummed and ahed on whether or not I could completely come off hands-on therapy and just move into the online training space and to be coaching people online around the world just via Zoom. And then obviously seeing things grow so rapidly with The Art of Listening to Your Body, I saw the potential in it. And so it was really coming to that crunch time. And another massive change that I've had, I actually feel like I've had lots of other changes which maybe I'm not acknowledging right now as I ramble. But just before Christmas, I have decided to stop treating solely hands-on in the clinic and completely moving into the online space to share more of this information. And it is one of the hardest decisions I've had to make because some people have been with me since many, many years, 8 years ago when I was first in this town doing a locum, and found me when I moved back in 2016 and have developed amazing relationships with these people. But I also know that because I've worked with these people for such a period of time, I also think that this opportunity means that they're going to get connected with somebody else on the journey. And sometimes it's me referring them to somebody else to help them on that next path. Some of them I am continuing to work with as well. So it's been really hard, and that's something that I want to share with you, is that when you're going through these massive changes, you do have to do hard things that pull at your heartstrings sometimes as well. But by stepping back from the clinic already, so I'm still owning MetaMed and I'm still going to be putting a lot of energy into the staff, because to be honest, I neglected them a little bit since COVID, because I had all the background stuff going on with the clinic, but also this new project that was really taking off. So I'll still be in the background with my practitioners and staff and team there. But yeah, I've got a lot of ideas for the Art of Listening to Your Body already. So yeah, incredibly hard to step back and let go of some of those clients. But I trust and know that things will fall into place for them, and I'm still here to help them navigate that path if they do get really stuck. So this is where I am, and I all of a sudden feel like I have a lot of free time to create and innovate. And since taking something off my plate, it has created way more space for me to work out what is life going to look like for me over the next few weeks, months, and years, and what is it that I can take action on. A lot of the time, death is something that does inspire me when it happens around me, to people who are close, or even just hearing about death through friends that have experienced it as well, is that it always gets me thinking, what is it that I want to do with my life that I haven't yet? What is the next thing that I can take action on? So I will sit down and spend a little bit more time with myself reflecting on the year. I'm not necessarily going to do it today. But some questions that I would be asking myself is, first of all, what didn't work? So always acknowledge what was crappy. Don't just try and sweep it under the carpet. And I will write these things down. I don't just think about it. And I think it's really important to get it out. This is something that I always teach with processing emotions, is that you do actually need to verbalize it. So if you've got a friend that you can talk to about this is really great, or you might have a coach or a mentor that you work with. But I'm going to write mine down, and then I will probably read them out. And then I would go through what worked for me. And I don't know if I shared this earlier, but it's just getting started every single time. Don't just keep wondering, find out. Then, what patterns do you notice? And there was a couple of patterns that I recognized in myself as I was sharing this with you. And then, of course, what needs to change? Because you are the only person that can decide what needs to change and what you need to action. And then if you use the new year as a time to set goals, you don't have to, but what is one thing that you really want in life? Now, some people say you shouldn't want things or need things, but want is, I believe, an innate human desire, and it is actually okay to want things. We often get taught that it's not okay, but it is. It relates to the sacral chakra, which has the right to want. So what is the one thing or the few things that you really want to do or achieve in life that you just keep on letting year by year go by and not doing anything with that? What is the one thing that you can action, that you can make change with and achieve, make that happen in your life in the next year? So I hope that I have been able to inspire you in some shape, way, or form as to how life has changed for me. The juggles challenges and exciting changes that happen when there's a little bit of a world crisis happening. And yeah, what it is you can create with your life. So if you haven't yet, just do the thing. Sometimes it will be hard. Don't fear failure. Don't worry about what other people think. Just do it. You will attract the right people around you. And if anything, you will make your life a lot more fulfilling and a lot healthier. Thanks for learning with me on the Art of Listening to Your Body podcast. If you like what you've heard, I would love if you could rate, review, and share with your friends. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. My handle is The Art of Listening to Your Body. You can join my free Facebook group where I go live regularly to teach you about different conditions and the deeper underlying emotions at play.